and welcome to People's Voice on VOP Television, where the stories that matters most take the center stage as we continue to amplify the voices, concerns, stories, and perspectives of the everyday Nigerian people. And that's you and I. I am Adefunke Jaisimi. And today on People's Voice, we are interested in the conversations around Peter Obi and Datti Ahmed. That's the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, and his running mate Datti Ahmed on their position on the coalition and leadership of the Labour Party. But before we get into that story, let's begin with the drama that is unfolding or unfolded at the National Assembly complex in Abuja, as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan defied security restrictions and began trekking towards the Senate chambers to resume legislative duties today. She was accompanied by activists Aisha Yesufu and human rights advocates in a show of solidarity. So here's the latest development, and of course, tension security is heightened around the complex, with the second gate to the National Assembly being shut, and the Senate is in session with the Senate President Akpabio presiding. The Senate has warned Akpoti-Uduaghan against a premature return, stating there is no valid court order mandating a recall before a suspension expires. Akpoti-Uduaghan maintains on her own part, saying that she is acting on a court decision and has notified the Senate of her intent to resume duties today. Well, there was no part of our conversation where she also talked about acknowledging the response from the Senate, but we will talk more about the stories. Let's quickly look into some of the stories in the news, and of course with some details. Let's begin with the African Democratic Congress ADC's plan in the Southeast. So yes, the African Democratic Congress ADC has asserted that it would harvest over 10 million votes from the Southeast zone in 2027 general election. You heard that correctly. 10 million votes from the Southeast zone in the 2027 general election. According to the party, in a communique signed by its National Vice Chairman Southeast, Comrade Chilos Godsent, the Zonal Publicity Secretary, Tangod Ofuelo, declared its readiness to dominate the region's political space. ADC is determined to rebuild, rebrand, and reposition itself to win all the elected positions in the zone during the 2027 polls. The party also said it's focused on consolidating its position as the preferred platform for a coalition to defeat what it described as the reactionary and bankrupt All Progressives Congress APC-led federal government. Interesting times are here, trust me. But according to reports, there is a response from the APC as expected. APC response to the ADC plans, it says the National Vice Chairman Southeast of the All Progressives Congress APC, Ijeoma Arodiogbu, has dismissed the ADC, saying that it doesn't pose any threat to the party. I mean, whether now or in the future, APC has come out to say that ADC is not anywhere close to being a threat to the All Progressives Congress in the Southeast region. Arodiogbu described the ADC as a party of desperados, adding that that's the All Progressives Congress, are not bothered about them, and that the government is very formidable and in the right direction. Well, let's talk about Osun State here, where there are rumors of defection. I mean, we talked about hints around rumored defection cases in Osun State, and of course, fingers are pointing to the governor, Ademola Jackson Adeleke. But yes, Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State has dismissed the rumored defection, disclosing that he is going nowhere and he remains the People's Democratic Party, PDP. I mean, he remains a governor of the PDP in Osun State, and he remains a member of the party. Governor Adeleke also said that his promise is to serve the people, and he would not relent in doing so. So anything that looks like distraction shouldn't be the focus at the time, as elections are fast approaching, and it's more important for him to focus on serving the people of Osun State. So other developments in the news so far, we talk about 5,000 PDP members from across 25 local government areas in Niger State defecting to the African Democratic Congress, citing PDP's lackluster performance. 5,000 PDP members from 25 local government areas have actually decamped from PDP to the ADC, according to reports. And yes, APC's minister has also come to talk about the progress made so far by the party, and saying that defections are normal in the political space, but it would not affect the party in carrying out its own decision and do due diligence. Also, the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, vowed to take over Enugu State from PDP in the year 2027. And yes, something more serious that has to do with the lives of the citizen. The Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, warned of a nationwide strike if the federal government fails to meet its demands regarding revised allowances for medical and dental officers. Yes, this is a very important one. But as we explore these stories and more, we want to hear from our viewers. We want to know what you think about the stories. We want to get your reaction and, of course, be able to amplify your concerns on some of the stories that has been highlighted so far. And if you have first-hand information that you want to give to us, please do well to call in or send us a text via WhatsApp on 090-447-32605. 090-447-32605 is the number to call or text via WhatsApp. And you can follow us on social media at VOPTV Live. You can also use the hashtag People's Voice on VOPTV. And on YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. It's important that you please hit the subscribe button, and together we can make our voices heard. That's why we are here. That's all for now, and we'll be back after this break to put more perspective to the Senate conundrum and the reports of division between Labour Party presidential candidates in the 2023 election and his running mates. Please stay tuned.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
Many thanks for staying with People's Voice on VOP Television, and it's time to bring you more updates on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's case. Yes, so the story is quite interesting because it's quite sensitive as much as it's interesting, because there's the position of aligning and understanding the place of women, but there's also the position of doing what is right. So, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's case involves her suspension from the Nigerian Senate due to allegations of misconduct. So, here's what happened, or here's what has been happening. According to court ruling on July 4, 2025, the Federal High Court in Abuja ruled that Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's 6-month suspension was excessive and unconstitutional. The court advised the Senate to recall her and allow her to resume duties. This was what the judgment says. Yes, it says. And of course, the Senate's response to this was, despite the court's advisory opinion, the Senate insists there is no binding order mandating Akpoti-Uduaghan's recall before her suspension expires. And yes, there is a part of contempt of court. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan was found guilty of contempt for disobeying a court order regarding public comments on the case. She was ordered to pay a 5 million naira fine and publish a public apology to the court. And there are conversations around appeals, because both Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio have filed appeals against parts of the July 4 judgment. It's important to establish the background of the stories just so we understand. I mean, we've gotten to a point where there is a lot of emotions involved. And while a lot of people want us to respect, I mean, the position of women, we don't have enough women within the corridors of power, and we cannot afford to have a woman be silenced. But we also have to understand the contempt of the court. But let's also talk about the latest development. So as of July 22, 2025, the Senate warned Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan against attempting to resume duties at the National Assembly, citing no binding court order for a recall. And their, advice or whatever, the warning sent to her was a follow-up to a note or a declaration that she was going to resume court today following a court ruling. But it's interesting to know that, yes, following a court ruling, you are going to resume office. But following that same court ruling that said that, yes, you were found guilty of contempt for disobeying a court order and regarding public comments on the case, you were ordered to make a 5 million naira fine and publish apology. None of this has been seen, or maybe have not had access to any of this. And yes, it was from a point of advice from the court. It clearly stated that the judgment, the suspension, the 6-month suspension was excessive and unconstitutional, which a lot of Nigerians agree with and actually identify with Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan on this. And the court advised the Senate to recall her and allow her to resume duties, and even also talked about making adjustments to the constitution, the guide in the Senate, just so in the future there can be measures to put in place, because you cannot just say, okay, the Senate can do this to whoever does this, and you can't even say, okay, within this time frame or a duration. That in most cases just leaves the Senate president to use his discretion to deal with you whichever way, however it pleases. But yes, these conversations are unending, trust me. And with this latest development going to the Senate today, being denied access, and the talks around having to carry out our constitutional duties, it's important that we have this conversation in better perspective. And of course, joining me on the show today is VOP in-house senior analyst, Mr. Dele Fanimo. Good afternoon, Mr. Dele Fanimo. I'm sorry you don't like controversies, but I mean, you're made for it. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's not as if I don't like controversies. I'm very good at navigating controversies. But sometimes when you see that people are trying to make a mountain out of molehill, in the build-up to this, I just see distraction.
Okay, let's just get into the conversation already. The 6 months suspension given to Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was a lot. And yes, according to the court's advisory on proportionality, they also talked about it, that it was excessive and all. But here we are, the senators refused to call her back and are still saying that they have some consideration to make. But how does Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan justify her defiance of the Senate suspension, given her alleged misconduct, which the court also upheld? And how does the Senate justify maintaining the suspension despite the court's ruling on excessiveness?
You see, at the heart of all of this is ego. And my study in peace and conflict resolution taught me that the more there is a stalemate in a crisis, the first thing that creeps in is ego. I must not be seen as the one that backed down.
The little one.
I must not be seen as a coward. I must not be seen as going back on my words. But internally, you know that this crisis is taking a toll on you. But because there is this thing they call branches in a tree, the farther the length of the branches,
right,
the more difficult it is to clip, you know, and it will continue to fester. And that's what we are witnessing in the case of Akpabio and Natasha. As a matter of fact, people don't really understand that this thing has taken a new coloration. It's no longer Natasha fighting Akpabio. It is Senate versus Akpabio in this case.
Senate versus Akpabio?
Yeah, it wasn't Akpabio that suspended Natasha.
So is it Senate
versus
was the
Senate.
Natasha or Akpabio? Because you just said Senate versus...
No, I said the Senate as a body came together to suspend Natasha.
Okay, so that was it. You said Akpabio, so that was why.
Oh, okay. So it's a case between the Senate and Natasha.
But sorry, you talked about ego. Ego on whose part now? Natasha's part or the
now,
Senate?
ego on the part of Akpabio to the extent that because he has the Senate as a body on his side, because they sat together to make that pronouncement of suspension. And unilaterally, Akpabio cannot say, come back. It has to be an agreement between him. It's just first among equals. The same way Akpabio was elected was the same way any other person in that chamber was elected.
Let's get the understanding. If you say that it's ego on the part of Senate President Akpabio because of the position and all, what do you make of the senator that was suspended?
Now, it's also...
The court said it's plain and clear. Pay this fine, make an apology.
That's what I'm saying. It's also ego on the part of Natasha. Why? Natasha knew that at a certain point she erred on the side of indiscretion. And so that's why, the day she wrote that satire, even when there's a subsisting case going on, I knew that she was good. And I'm surprised that she's a lawyer. There are certain things, even we that are lettered but not learned, there are certain things we know about the law. We may not profess the law, but to the extent of English grammar that was used to write the law, we can read and understand. Anything that is in court, you can't comment on it. It's
I like you saying that she's a lawyer. I watched interviews where she constantly emphasized on the fact that she's a lawyer and she knew better. But you have also said that it is not a case of Akpabio, Natasha, but the Senate, and there is more when it comes to Akpabio. Don't you think that there is more when it comes to Natasha herself? Don't you think that there is more than just what happened in the Senate that day? Don't you think there are forces?
Natasha is being urged, pushed, encouraged to fight.
To what end?
And you see, this fight is not going to lead anywhere. Because I always say it, if there is a subsisting judgment, no matter the cry of anybody on the street, it doesn't change the judgment, except you go back to that same court, an appellate court or Supreme Court, to invalidate that judgment. If you cry till tomorrow.
Both parties have gone to court. Both parties have
appealed. That's what I'm saying.
Why is she not waiting for the appeal? Why is she not waiting for...
Those civil society organizations, the feminists and all the rest, they will say...
How the straight bullet get to the feminists now?
Go and contest this thing. We are behind you. Go. And so that's why she is in the Senate today to say, I want to resume work. But in all of this, I feel sad because those who are supposed to benefit from intervention in the Senate, they have been set back by 4 months now. Nobody is representing them in the Senate.
For 4 months.
For 4 months, and it's not likely to end soon. It's not likely to end until the 6 months.
Even the committees that would have enjoyed the richness of our intellectual
yes.
capacity.
Apart from that, she's supposed to be in at least 3 committees, either as chairperson or member. And these committees may be so important to driving the process of getting dividend of democracy to his constituency.
Really
but her absence, even when you are there, they are still trying to change you.
Right.
You see, now when you are no longer there, that they will remember you. That
even taking some of these responsibilities away from her.
So now, for me, I always look at ADR, alternative dispute resolution.
Okay.
In any case, I always look for alternative. Maybe because of the way I'm made, I am not somebody that likes.
You're not a politician.
Wahala.
You're not a politician, really.
I don't like wahala, except when I know that it's inevitable, that I have to push through. But if it is possible for me to look the other way, then I embrace it. I've seen people that had offended me, that they think it's over. But I will still go back and talk to them, and then we resolve. Okay. So what I'm saying in this is that Natasha should not just go the whole hog. There are eminent people that have been Senate presidents that are still alive. Pius Ayim is still alive. David Mark is still alive. There are some other eminent people. Tambua was in the House of Reps on many occasions. Now governor, you know, and these are people that can go underground and resolve this matter, because the longer she stays outside of the floor of the Senate, the longer those who are supposed to benefit from our intervention will continue to suffer.
It's quite unfortunate, but you've talked about the judiciary, you've talked about the legislature, and of course, the fact that both parties are already in the appeal court, but I don't know what exactly is the case. But what implication does this case have for checks and balances between Nigeria's judiciary and legislature, especially with people that are supposed to be like a light for Nigerians to, I mean, we should tap from them. Because if you decide to pick from the judgment and you decide to ignore some part of the judgment, what exactly does this say about the political elite?
Let me start by saying there is no check, not to talk of balance.
No checks, no balances.
There is none.
None.
That I can see.
Well, is it supposed to be that way?
It's not supposed to be. Now, go to the federal level. The legislative arm of government and the executive arm, they are like Siamese twins now. If a whole Senate will stand up and begin to sing on your mandate, we shall stand, and there is no opposition in that Senate at that moment.
No, the song probably was just captivating at the time.
What is captivating?
I mean,
there is nothing captivating about it. What you are saying is just like an armed robber is robbing, policemen get there and say,
feels like a joke.
Babao, continue your job. I mean, where is the hope for the victim?
People are elected on different political platforms.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, when after that election, a lot of people were hopeful, like, oh, this is the best we've had. We've had people that never thought they would make it to the Senate. We're going to see something differently, but people keep calling out the ruling party. But forget that
Okada man suddenly riding 1.60 million naira car.
That nothing can be done.
I thought the man would be the first person to shout and say, no.
How about how the money is? Nobody is coming out to say that I don't want this money. But still on the matter, do you think that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's alleged misconduct warrants the harshest disciplinary measure available to the Senate?
You
think that was the best
I'm
they
not
could
going
do
to
at the
look
time?
at. I'm not going to look at the suspension as infringing more on Natasha. But that suspension is infringing more on our constituency and our constituents, people in that constituency.
So you think they could have done something?
What I'm saying is that perhaps if the hierarchy of the Senate understood the fact that they are not, it's just like you kill an hibernating chicken that has over 20 eggs under her. Naturally, you have killed 20 body hens
right. That will never transform to become,
because it will not mature.
Right.
Because those eggs need the support and the warmth of the mother hen. And so the moment they took Natasha out of the Senate, technically those hens will suffer. They should have considered those 20 eggs and not the hen that is protecting those eggs for hatchery. What they have done to Natasha is not Natasha alone. Natasha can survive even if she's expelled from the house. She can still go back, regroup, and even contest another election. But what about the people that look up to him, that she's supposed to be a beacon of hope?
Mr. Fenimore, what do you make of our political party? Do you count or see it as irresponsible? Do you think that the party
it is the height
could have
of
done? Because for me, you were talking about Senate President. Bukola Saraki was the Senate President. Atiku was still in the party at the time all of this happened. the best that happened was headlines, which is normal.
What has Saraki done since he left the Senate as a PDP stalwart?
We have people in the PDP, even in the Senate, and at the end of the day, it now looked more like a women's fight. And
are the women even supporting Natacha?
Maybe the CSOs.
I said the women in the Senate. They were the first to even criticize Natacha.
That's what I'm saying. And maybe the CSOs, the civil society organizations, because it felt like she was on her own in this fight. So it made people begin to wonder, what exactly is it about this woman, Natacha Akpoti-Uduaghan? You've talked about the people that she's supposed to represent. Where is the place of the mother in guiding and protecting our own chicks?
You see, like I said earlier, this thing should have been resolved if ego did not creep into the whole affair.
Let's talk about the PDP.
You see, PDP...
She didn't contest on her own. She was not a private candidate. Or an
do you know that
candidate.
they say some people are living corpse? You know what they say? It's not as if they are not walking around. But it's like they are supposed... They have a terminal... Somebody that has a terminal ailment can still walk around at some point. If you have cancer, if somebody has cancer, has a debilitating illness that are terminal diseases, that person can still walk around. That does not mean that person will not die eventually. PDP is on the throes of death. And they made it so because there was no conscious effort to revive that party. They gave in to people, individuals. Individuals were controlling PDP, not internal structure. So
That's
you shouldn't.
Problem.
So you shouldn't expect PDP to do anything more than what they did in the case of Natacha, because if there were internal structures, functional internal structures, the moment that crisis erupted, the first thing they should have done, even not without waiting for Natacha, is to address a press conference showing solidarity. And that would have sent a signal to the Senate.
And we will make the case look
and
better.
the moment they address the press and the national chairman of that party probably will be flanked by Senate members of the political party, then they know that
but at the time when they were struggling with Secretary of the
PDP had taken a definitive stand on this matter. So it now becomes a ding-dong affair that even Natasha shouldn't have even stressed herself to this level. It should be the party that will take it up on her behalf. We have the spokesperson of PDP. Did he issue any press release immediately after the incident?
So he did after.
I said immediately after.
He did after.
For about 2 weeks, nothing came.
Well,
until individuals, civil society groups, and all that started jumping into the fray and making allusions to the fact that this woman cannot just go under like that.
Okay, Mr. Fanimo, there are people that also feel that the group supporting her, the activists and Natacha herself, are weaponizing the agenda. And I'm going to ask you this question. How does Senator Natacha Akpoti-Uduaghan's action in this case highlight potential abuses of platform by female legislators in Nigerian politics, alongside potential gender dynamics or basis in legislative discipline procedures?
You see, for me, I've not seen anything that plays out gender inferiority in this matter. You see, the extent to which you can push is dependent on the mass of the group and total commitment to the group. What I'm saying in essence is, even right from the day this broke out on the floor of the House, there was not even a single whimper from even, at least there are 3 other women in the Senate. None. And do you know that one of them even came 2 days after to blame Natasha. So technically, you have weakened your case. You have unwittingly weakened your base. And so, if your base is weak, and then somebody now comes to ride roughshod on you, there is nothing you will do.
Do you think that Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan might have a problem with interpersonal relationship with people?
No. You see, let me tell you, she may not have, but the point is, there is a limit to in our culture, in our environment. There is a limit to your relationship with the opposite sex in certain environments that people will not begin to insinuate. As we are now, after this set, if you come out of this set, there are certain things you cannot do with me. And there are certain things I must not do with you. There must be this gap.
But you've also talked about women not standing with her in this.
No, what I'm saying is we're looking at gender issue.
No, because why I asked that question is, you've talked about women, even in the Senate, who have come to say things that ordinarily you wouldn't expect. You feel, okay, at a time like this, even if they would not openly stand with her, they would not openly stand against her. And we've had analysts, female analysts, passively made comments around, what about this woman? So don't you think that there's a it's not about being married or how you relate with people now. There is a place of interpersonal relationship within your workspace. And it's difficult to see that apart from activists, human rights organizations, and of course, different civil societies. It's hard that there is almost no significant political figure standing up for Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. It's disappointing.
No, it's not. Let me tell you.
Is it because she's a woman?
No. We have seen men standing for women in some cases in this country. But the point is, there's a Yoruba saying that's Eleruluma Sokwe Ofe. That is, you take the larger chunk of your burden. That's when somebody else will just come to support you, to take you to the next level. If women cannot support their women folk, how much can a man do?
Okay.
I am telling you, if any male member of the Senate had jumped into the fray, what we are saying, the attention may even shift from Akpabio, and that man may be a scapegoat. But let the women, no matter the level of minority they find themselves, let them at least speak. In democracy, the minority will have their say. And the majority will have their way. But it will be recorded that the minority said. But in a case where the minority is not ready to say, then...
Mr. Delefanimo, it's quite unfortunate because you're not even saying what I want you to say.
What would you want me to say? That means you have teleguided me. You are trying to teleguide me. You are not
answering my question. But we need to go on a break now because we need to talk about something else. It's time to go on a break now. When we return, we'll dive into the alleged division between the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections and his running mate. That's between Peter Obi and Datti Baba Ahmed, along with their huge followers. Please stay tuned. Glad to have you stay with the People's Voice as we take a deeper dive into the Labour Party's internal crisis. Yes, the Labour Party is currently experiencing a deepening internal crisis, particularly surrounding its leadership structure and factional control. Senator Datti Baba Ahmed's presence at the National Executive Council NEC meeting of the Julius Abure-led faction has sparked renewed concern in the party and a lot of controversies among its huge followers. So here are the key developments in the Labour Party crisis. Datti Baba Ahmed's attendance at the NEC meeting yesterday. So Datti Baba Ahmed attended the NEC meeting of the Abure-led faction, despite previously being seen as aligning with Peter Obi's camp. I mean, there was a part where he even had to dispute that there was no issues between himself and Peter Obi, but I think it's quite understandable that people have different values, and of course, when it comes to situations like this, they just need to move. Everybody needs to move from their ends and make adjustments to find the better position that suits their common goal. But yes, there's also the conversation around factional disputes. The Abure-led faction dismissed the NEC meeting held by the Peter Obi Nenadi Usman faction as illegal, unconstitutional, and of no consequence. And again, leadership authority within the Labour Party, the Abure-led faction cited the Labour Party Constitution and the Electoral Act in asserting their leadership's authority, stating only the National Secretary with the National Chairman's approval can convene NEC meetings. So the Abure-led faction has also ruled out coalition talks ahead of the polls, describing those behind such talks as politically spent forces. I mean, there's nothing that the ADC or the coalition, okay, ADC was a party on its own before they decided to adopt homeless people, politicians that needed a new home. Yes, they were homeless. They needed to find a place to call home. And yes, now the Abure-led faction of the Labour Party is saying that those behind the talks of the coalition are actually politically spent forces. That's a very strong word. But what are the implications of the crisis? The internal crisis in the Labour Party would actually impact its performance in the 2027 general elections. The party's ideological independence and the commitment to rebuilding its internal structures are being emphasized by the Abure-led faction. And even though it's been said that Peter Obi has not officially left the party, in an interview this morning, the spokesperson of the party, Arabambi, said it in clear terms that what is next for the party to do is expulsion of Peter Obi, saying that he has disrespected the party enough, he has gone overboard to prove that he's not one of them. But for some other people, they are of the opinion that Peter Obi is playing politics and is just being smart with what might happen with the coalition in the ADC, saying that he might just still have to stay back. And for the obedient movement, they say we stand with Peter Obi, and whenever Oga say move, everybody will definitely follow. But let me come back to Mr. Dele Fanimo, who has been doing well, doing justice to conversations around matters in the news, speaking the minds of Nigerians, maybe not all, but I mean, it's totally relatable. So Mr. Fanimo, thank you for staying with us on the People's Voice. Let's talk about Baba Ahmed Datti, that's Peter Obi's running mate in the 2023 election. What implications does Datti's attendance at the Abure-led NEC meeting have for his relationship with Peter Obi and the party's dynamics? Because Obi's followers are saying that whoever attended that NEC meeting did for surveillance sake and nothing more.
You see, let's start from the pronouncement of the court, Supreme Court.
Okay.
That will give us a better understanding of what is playing out. The Supreme Court in its judgment didn't remove Abure. The Supreme Court in its judgment didn't impose a Nenadi Usman faction on Labour Party. It was a loose end. That, look, at this point, you may need to go back and resolve your internal crisis. That the jurisdiction of the court is ousted from your matter.
Okay.
Which means it's just like a wife and the husband.
Family
when they get to the house, they will say, go back and resolve your family within your family. And so, technically, nobody has sacked Abure. Nobody has installed Nenadi Usman. And that's why I always say...
Technically. But for the obedient movement, they've installed Nenadi.
That is the obedient movement. That is why INEC will not recognize the obedient movement. Obedient movement is just a section of the whole. Obedient movement does not own the party.
But they give life to the party.
Then kill the party father now, and let there be no life. The point is, as far as Labour Party is still on, obedient movement has just two options. If a landlord takes a tenant's wife, the tenant will go. If the tenant takes landlord's wife, he will go.
The tenant
that will go. So, technically, obedient movement, nobody mentioned them in the ruling of the court. So that is to tell you that they are not known to the court. They are not known to INEC. So if INEC wants to relate with Labour Party, they will relate with Labour Party as a political party entity, not obedient as co-joined. Now,
Mr. Fanimo, INEC might not know obedient movement. The court might not know obedient movement, but they make a large population of the success recorded by
Labour Party was existing.
I said the success recorded by the Labour Party. How might this internal crisis affect the chances of the Labour Party remaining relevant in 2027?
You see, Obi is just playing smart, politically smart, by ensuring that he doesn't leave Labour Party completely, because it could be the last option for him.
So do you think they can expel him?
No, they will not expel him.
It's just threat.
It's just a threat.
All right.
But I can assure you that Obi is beginning to see the shenanigans in ADC. Obi is now beginning to see. What makes you think that Datti did not consult Obi before going to Labour Party? It is what they told you after the meeting as a media person that you are pushing to the public.
Right.
So you can't say.
So whatever whispers happen between you.
I've been in political meetings that they will decide on so many things, and then they will call one person that is so innocuous and say, go and tell them this. These media people, their wala is too much. Just go and tell them, say, we are fighting. And the media will go out and say they are fighting. So there's no way Datti Ahmed would have gone to Abure faction, because Abure faction technically is still the party. I mean, the neck that is recognized until the court gives a judgment that says Abure have to go. So now, to the obedient, obedience can only gain maximally from this if they just stay aloof and let Peter Obi, Datti Ahmed, Abure, Nadi Usman, let them come together
and solve their problem. Because of time,
it's an indictment on the part of Datti Ahmed and Peter Obi if Labour Party should go down as a result of this crisis.
But don't you think there will be consequences? What are the potential consequences of the Abure-led faction dismissing Peter Obi, Nenadi? Because we know that Peter Obi, Alex Oti are actually backing the Nenadi Usman faction's NEC meeting and calling it illegal and unconstitutional, and knowing that Alex Oti is a sitting governor and Peter Obi is the popular one. And also, how will the Labour Party stance on no coalition talks ahead of the polls impact its strategy and alliance in Nigerian politics ahead of 2027?
Sometimes, when you want to fight a battle, you don't show the enemy that you are weak, because you can't negotiate once you are weak. So they have to talk tough so that the other side will look at them.
The Labour Party?
No, the Labour Party would have to talk tough so that ADC can see them as equal partners. Okay,
but what do you make of the faction, the claim of the Abure faction saying that the NEC carried out by the Nenadi faction backed by Alex Oti and Peter Obi is illegal and unconstitutional? What are the implications?
The implication is there won't be settlement until 2027.
So, if there's no settlement...
And another party will benefit maximally from that crisis. That party that will benefit maximally between ADC, PDP, and APC will be determined by events.
APC, ADC.
I don't know how you call it. But I know that there are 3 dominant parties now. And those 3 dominant parties will be waiting in the wings to harvest whatever trouble that is coming out from Labour Party.
It's quite unfortunate. But with the level of defection...
There's nothing unfortunate there. That is politics.
Oh.
It is politics.
Tell us about it.
You put spanner in the works of your opponent so that they will be in disarray. And while you are working and you are coasting home. That's politics. You don't allow your enemy to settle down. So if you settle down, then he will have a clear aim at you and fire. No.
So at the end of the day, it's a game that is being played now.
Yeah, of course, it's a game.
Of the dividend of democracy for Nigerians.
How many politicians remember you? How many? They take care of themselves. Then if you are lucky, if you pass by when the crumbs are falling on the table, you pick.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Dele Farimo. This is what Yoruba people call Oragba, wise one from elders, because it's a lot is happening within the political landscape right now. But at the end of the day, what is most important is are the Nigerian people. That should be the focus. But it's quite unfortunate that a minority of our population are deciding the fate of the people. But we know what to do. Be wise in your decisions. But that's all we can take on the People's Voice today. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And yes, I am a Adefunke Jaisimi, and I still believe in this project, Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good afternoon.